Okay. Okay. Good morning, everyone. And good morning, everyone out there. It's good to be back. And good to meet you again after 3 weeks or so. And I hope you enjoyed your Greek 113 so far with Professor Pierre Jordan. And we are taking it forward from here. Okay? If there's any question regarding the previous classes or any problems you had, please address them to me through into my email or whatever means of communication we have. So please communicate with me. Now, today I'm introducing Greek nouns to you. Greek nouns. We have to start to get into the depth of this language. Just to refresh your memory, last week or in the previous class, you dealt with the building blocks of the language. I hope I'm correct. The building blocks of the language, whereby you looked at the syntax of the English, or the English and the Afrikaans syntax. Syntax is how words combine to make a communication. For instance, you will look at verbs, you will look at nouns, adjectives, adverbs, prepositions, definite articles, and so forth. So I hope that is basically what you did in your previous class. All right? And today, I'm sorry for this repetition, I'm introducing to you now Greek nouns. You spoke about nouns, but from the Afrikaans and English or any other language perspective. But today we want to focus on nouns of Greek language. Okay? And how do we analyze them and so forth. So on completion of this study unit, you should be able to, and I emphasize this because this is what we seek to achieve in today's class. You must be able to recognize the nouns of the first declension. And I can also add second declension also, and third declension. Because you are doing 113, you don't have to look deeper into this, but in some other modules, I take one declension per time, or per class, or contact session. So we are going to cover all three. That is the nouns of the first declension, the nouns of the second declension, and the nouns of the third declension. I have put this phrase in some color, and I said, and to recite in paradigm. You don't have to do that in this class or in this module. You don't have to memorize them, because gradually we will switch to the electronic sources like Libronics and Logos and all that. That will help you to parse your verbs and your nouns. So you don't have to memorize all the things. And that is the main focus of this module. Okay. So, but then at least you must be able to recognize them, and so that you can manage to analyze and parse them. Secondly, to recognize, parse, and explain Greek nouns. Now, that is a very, very important thing. That is the main thing why we do Greek or biblical Greek. We want to be able to read, we want to be able to recognize what is this thing that I'm reading, and you must also be able to parse. When you parse, and Afrikaans is ontleed, to parse. In other words, you tell me all the facets, all the characteristics of that noun as it looks, whether it's a subject, whether it's singular, whether it's feminine in gender, and so forth. That's what we mean by parsing. And then to explain, I will tell you a bit more about that as we continue. Right? You must be able to identify and explain the definite article, die ledwoord in Afrikaans, A definite article. KK, you know what a definite article is? You spoke about this last week? No. No. What is a definite article? A book. Okay? The book. All right? So that is the book of the man. That is definite article. And also the so-called indefinite. Okay? Without that the, you can talk about a book. An apple, it's indefinite. All right. So also we have that in Greek. We are going to look at that. I'm sorry for this repetition. I will take care of it. Now, when we talk about nouns in Greek, unlike in English and Afrikaans, nouns in Greek are grouped according to their forms, how they look. And we have three groups of nouns in Greek. And they are simple, I call them declensions. This group are called declensions. So we have the so-called the first declension, the second declension, and the third declension. Okay? So, but then, before we get to that, I seek here to define, actually, to help you define the term declension. What is a declension? Before we come to, okay, that is the content, and also get to know the characteristics. Is there any question? You say? A declension in Afrikaans, I have the word. I will also, everybody out there, but if Ori is there or someone is translating, then you should know what declension is.
Verbuiging.
Verbuigings. Good. Thank you, Ori. Yeah. Die eerste, die tweede, en die derde verbuigings. Yeah, it was stuck somewhere back in my mind. And then now we come to the characteristics of Greek nouns. And then I'm asking there, how many declensions do we have in the Greek language? And that's why I'm always repeating declension, 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 verbuiging. And I want you to remember that. It's such a key term in the learning of Greek. And then the definite article, of course. What is a declension? Wat is a verbuiging? What is a declension? Now, a declension is a group of nouns. It can be pronouns, can be adjectives. You know what a pronoun is? You know what an adjective is? Okay, are we still together? That have similar inflectional forms to show their function in a sentence. I want to repeat this definition. A declension is a group of nouns. Like I said, we have three declensions. In other words, we have three groups. We have a group 1 and a group 2 and a group 3 called first declension, second declension, and third declension. So now we're talking about a group of nouns that have similar inflectional forms. Now, I might be using a big term there, inflectional. I'm basically talking about what you would call in English or Afrikaans suffix, the endings. The endings. The suffix. Okay? The endings. Those are the inflectional forms. How they change from one case to the other. Okay? And as they change, they show their function in the sentence. So a particular ending of a noun might tell you that this noun is a subject of the sentence. And yet a particular ending of another noun might tell you, I am a direct object of the same noun, but the endings differ, and it shows the function of that noun in the sentence. So when the word or the noun has this particular ending, then it tells you I'm a subject, or I'm a direct object, or I am an indirect object, or I am a genitive, or whatever. So these inflectional changes are very, very important. You really have to take a full cognizance of that. How does this noun ends? It signify its function in the sentence. There are 3 declensions in Greek. Now, to make things simple for you, I've said that already. We have the first declension. Now, in the first declension, we get the majority of the nouns here are feminine nouns. Feminine, what you call female. I don't want to call it female. It's feminine. It's not female. And Afrikaans, is that vrolijk? Yeah, vrolijk. Okay? In English, masculine. There's no male. Ne? It's masculine. And then most of these nouns, we call them the pure alpha and the pure eta nouns. That means they are endings. Remember, we're talking about the inflectional forms, the inflectional changes, the change in the suffix, in the ending of that noun. They end with an alpha and they end with an eta. That's why we call them a pure eta and a pure alpha noun. Okay? I would give you some examples, but let me reserve that for a good homework. Okay, and then the second declension, there we have a first declension where the majority of the nouns are feminine. In the second declension, the majority of nouns are masculine and neuter. Masculine, referring to male, not gender. We're not talking gender. We're not talking male and female stuff. We're talking the language here. We're talking the grammar, the grammatical gender, if I may put it that way. That is feminine and masculine, okay? And neuter. And then the third declension, I'm not sure if I'm mixing some other sounds here on the line, if I hear it well. But then if it's not interfering with our class, then it's fine. The masculine nouns and neuter nouns, nouns ending with an os, and also the on in terms of the neuter. I will give you good examples of this now, but after your homework, you must now go back to Mounds and any other Greek grammar book, and then identify all the first nouns of the first declension, nouns of the second declension, and then nouns of the third declension. It's a bit difficult one, the third declension, because this group contains nouns of all 3 genders. It is easier to identify the first declension and the second declension. Oh, what's okay? But then the third declension, this group contains nouns of all genders. But then, remember our main target. How are you going to identify them? Look at the endings, the inflectional forms. And that is the most important thing, and I will always repeat this in this class and the classes to come. You always look at the endings. Those are, that is the target. That is something that will tell you whether this noun is belonging to the first, second, or third declension. Okay? Any questions so far? I see I'm just behind time, and that's why I'm trying to rush. All our colleagues out there, any question? I'm giving you this opportunity to ask any question regarding what we have done already. You can just raise up your hand, and then reach out to the microphone and address that question to me. If there's no question, but don't hesitate to stop me anytime, ask that question so that we can go together. Now, going forward, I don't know what is going on here today. The characteristics of Greek nouns. And now this is something that I want you to remember all the time also. When you talk about Greek nouns, there are 3 things that must come to your mind. And here are they. Greek nouns have 3 characteristics. We are talking about these 3 things: case, number, and gender. And I would appreciate out there, before you greet me every morning, just tell me case number and gender. I will be happy. Then it shows you did not forget. Because now this is very, very important. How do we analyze Greek nouns? We're going to analyze them according to their case, according to their number and gender. Now, to make things simple, or just to put this thing straightforward, when we talk about number, this is basically what you have in English and Afrikaans also. Can you tell me the number that you have in the languages, in the Afrikaans or English language? Yeah, is that the getal? Yeah, what is that? It's a very simple question. That's why you never expect me to ask that. The getal in Afrikaans, the number in English, you have singular, the enkelvoud and the meervoud. Yeah, you have the singular and the plural forms of the noun. That's what we talk about, the number. And then the gender, I've spoken about some few already. That is the masculine, the feminine, and the neuter. Okay? The mannelijk, vrouwelijk, and the onzijdig. Onzijdig is neuter. Ori, I'm sorry to repeat this. I have an Afrikaans speaking student in my class. I just want to be with him so that he don't miss these terminologies. And then, in terms of the case, we are coming to that, and it's very, very important also. So, Greek nouns have 3 characteristics. I will ask you that definitely in the test. Give me the 3 characteristics of Greek nouns. You must be able to know case, number, and gender, please. Greek has 5 cases. In terms of the number, we have only 2. Okay? The singular and the plural. But then the gender, we have 3. The masculine, feminine, and neuter. When coming to the cases, we have 5 of them. And I want to be very slow on this so that you can remember them. The nominative case, it points out the subject in the sentence. The nominative case, it points out the subject in the sentence. God created the heaven and the earth. Ho theos epoesen ton uranon ke tengen. That ho theos, your God in that sentence, it has the os ending as you look at the previous line. Theos, that means it's in the nominative case and it's playing its role there as a subject of the sentence. John kicks the ball. Who is the subject of the sentence? John. Okay? So John should be in the nominative case because he is performing an action. All right? So therefore, that is the first case, the nominative case. And secondly, we have the so-called the genitive. It describes another noun. The genitive case, genitive, it describes another noun. Just like an adjective, but very bit different from an adjective. An adjective, yes, is there to describe another noun. You remember last week's class? Adjectives in 3 ways. When I'm just now going into last week's class, an adjective can describe, can qualify another noun in 3 ways: attributively, predicatively, and also substantively. You remember that? Okay? But then a genitive, it only describes a noun in terms of, and these are the 3 things: source, and the relation, and also possession. I want to give you an example. John kicks the ball of me to the goalkeeper. That of me, my ball. John kicks my ball. The ball of me. That of me is a genitive. Okay? It's a genitive of what? Is it of relation? Is it of source? Is it of Possession. Possession. It's my ball. I possess it. Okay? It's your book. The book of you. So whenever you translate the genitive, it will always have that of me sense, kind of a taste, or not a taste, but what is the klank in Afrikaans? I'm thinking in two languages. The klank. How you pronounce it, how you call it, how you, that of something, to show a position or a source or a relation. A sister of him. That means his sister. So in that case, of him, it's a description of another noun in terms of the relation. They are related. They are brother and sister. If it's my book, then I possess the book. Okay? In terms of the origin, we talk of the Spirit of God. It is the Spirit who comes from God. He originates there. That is the brawn. That is the source. Where does this Spirit comes? It's either from God or from the devil, the demon, the spirit of the devil. Okay? So you described him very well. You know the source. Where does this spirit comes from? So the genitive case helps us to understand that. You always translate it as of something. Okay? So that is the genitive case. In 3, I said source, possession, and relation. Please, don't forget that. It's very, very important also. There are so many other functions of the genitive, objective genitives and subjective genitives, but you will source, possession, and relation. Okay? Jesus is always referred as the Son of God. How are they related? We're talking Father and Son. Okay? Relation. So, but you always have that of, showing those 3 things: source, relation, and possession. The dative case, that is the 3rd one, an indirect object. John kicks the ball to me. Okay? It's a kind of, I'm standing in an advantageous position. Something that is done, an indirect object, for or to whom the action of the verb is performed. You stand in a kind of an advantageous position. Okay? If I give a chocolate to Keke, that means I'm buying her something. Okay? I'm giving a book to someone, or I'm doing something for someone. And it will always be indicated by an indirect, a dative case. And in English and Afrikaans, that's what we call the indirect. The indirect, okay? The indirect object. In other words, it's not feeling the first hit or the first kick, right? There is a direct object. John kicks what? The ball. That is the direct object. But to me, or to someone, all right? So you're standing in an advantageous end of things. And the dative case will always function to show or to designate an indirect object. Okay? That is the 3rd case I'm introducing to you. The accusative case, straightforward, the direct object. John kicks the ball. Hotheos epoiesen ton uranon, ke ten gen. That ton uranon, God created the heaven and the earth. They are, that ton uranon, kai of ke ten gen, that earth. Ten gen is accusative. That is that which God has done. God created what? The heaven. It's accusative, all right? Accusative case. And the accusative will always be there to show you, or to, its inflectional forms, its inflectional changes will show you that I am a direct object. Okay? And then the last one, the vocative, the direct address. I always use this in the class. Brothers and sisters, or my fellow students, or at church, we always use it. In politics, they always use it. Comrades, you want to direct these people. You want to, not direct, or what is that? It's a mode of address. You are addressing these people. You call their attention. That is a vocative, okay? We have it also in the Bible. Brethren, or brothers and sisters. John will say, my children. In the letters, Jesus also, my children, at some point, he referred to his disciples as children. Have you caught some fish? Remember when they spent the whole night fishing and they couldn't call anything? When he comes to them, he say, children, have you caught something? And that children, Tekna, Adelphoi, brothers and sisters, and so forth. It's the vocative case. It's a mode of address. You are addressing or addressing someone directly. And we use this every day. So please remember these 5 cases: nominative for subject, genitive, describing another noun in 3 ways: source, relation, and possession. And then dative also, indirect object, accusative, direct object, and the vocative case. That is the mode of address, or a direct address. Sorry for the repetitions. And then we have the definite article. What do we know about the definite article in English? In the English grammar, you have that the and the n. But then in Greek does not have an indefinite. But then we do have the definite article. Okay? And I want you to go and identify them. Please, I will give you a homework regarding that. So Greek does not have an indefinite article corresponding to English a of n. Most of the time, I can give you the example. If, say, we have, this is a new board, or what is going on here? I want to write, but now. Okay, there we go. Then, how do I erase here? This is a new setup for me. That's a black I want to write.
Okay, but what color do you want to write?
Any color, it's fine.
Then you just choose a color.
Okay, but erasing. Oh, there it is.
Erasing.
Okay, that's good. Thank you.
This is for the directing button. Okay, you can just choose.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Now it's going to write black.
No, I want to use it. It's fine. Yeah. Say you have in a sentence, ho theos. We normally don't translate this definite article in English. We don't say their God, but that's literally what it says. Or you can have ho adelphos. Ho adelphos. The brother. It's definite. Okay? But then if you only write adelphos without a definite article, you are telling me that this is now indefinite. How are you going to translate that? That's a good question, I guess. How are you going to translate adelphos? Soner, or without the definite, without the ho? Any good student out there or here, if you want to try, you just raise up your hand and then translate for me that part of the example I have given. Any contributor out there, Mafikeng, White River, if you want to help me, that I translate it as the brother because it has the definite article in Greek. But without the definite article in Greek, how do you read that? I'm waiting. Or KK here, if you have a suggestion. How do you read that? Yeah? Yeah, translate it for me. Brother. There must be a difference. Here I said, the brother. It's a definite. But without this definite article, brother. It's indefinite. Are we there? Okay. So please remember that. Okay. So, well, in Greek, we don't have an indefinite article, but then if the noun comes or appears without the definite article, then you must translate it as an English indefinite. Okay? A brother, an apple, a sister, and whatever. Okay. Okay. Let's see what's. I must go back to this. I must just get used to this board. All my slides are repeating. Okay, now how do I parse or how do I analyze a Greek noun? Say I give you a sentence and I underline a Greek noun. I want to give you a sentence and that will help us. A little exercise we can do together. I want to come up with. Oh. Come on. Kind of jet lag. I'm sorry. I just want a simple noun, a verb. I don't want to confuse you. A simple verb. God. Okay, created.
Aku
God. Ako uo. Good ori. Ako. Then it will be a. Ako a. God.
Adelphon.
Let's use an indefinite. What will be the translation of that, Ori? God hears a brother. There's someone's microphone is open and then closed. Or is that Ori? God hears a brother. And I underline the word or the noun adelphos. And I say, pass it for me or analyze it for me. Now, this is what you are going to say to me. The very first thing I want you to be able, remember my study outcomes, identify it, you must recognize it, you must tell me this is a noun. Okay? Say it is a noun. I want to hear you telling me that. This is a noun. I know it. When you look at its inflectional change, when you look at its ending, look at that on ending, you tell me this is a noun. And I will do a bit of an exercise. I will spare 5 minutes before we knock off, just to show you how those inflectional changes come about. So that first thing that you are going to say to me is a noun. And then the second one, you must, let me just give you these three. What do you see there? Case, number, and gender. What are we talking about? The main characteristics of a Greek noun. Look at your notes. Characteristics of a Greek noun. We analyze them according to case, number, and gender. Okay? When we talk about case, how many do we have? Okay, quick. How many cases do we have in Greek? 5 cases. Name them. 1, nominative, dative, and then genitive, and Vocative. Okay, please, you must be sharp. You must know all those things. Gender, we're talking masculine, feminine, and neuter. Okay? And then the number, ons praat van enkelvoud of meervoud. We talk of singular or plural. Okay, so that is how you are going to analyze or parse the noun. And then you must tell me the dictionary form. And look at this, focus. Now, when you look at adelphon, that is not a dictionary form. That noun has changed already. That on ending tells you that I am an accusative. It is not the dictionary form. This is not how it looks in the dictionary. It will look somehow, differently. So, you must tell me now that the dictionary form of this noun as it appears in the dictionary, for tautology, the form of this noun as it appears in the dictionary is this. This is the lexical form, how we find it in the dictionary. Okay, so you must be able to tell me that, and then its meaning. Not the meaning in the sentence, but the meaning in the dictionary. Okay? But then when you come to the translation, that's where you will give me the meaning of that noun in the sentence. And I want to do an exercise with you. And then lastly, you must explain. How do you explain a noun? You go back to the case. If it is an accusative, your explanation must tell me that this is a direct object. Okay? If it is a genitive, your explanation of that noun will tell me it's a genitive of source, or it's a genitive of relation, or it's a genitive of possession. Okay? If it's a dative, you will tell me it is a dative of advantage to someone, or it's an indirect object, and so forth. All right. So please, this is how you should, or this is how we analyze a Greek noun. Okay. Say what it is. So you can see here. Let's talk about marks now. In the exam, I have given you 3 nouns to pass or to analyze. How many marks are there? 3 nouns. Then it should be 21 marks. Because each and every aspect here counts. You must tell me all those particular aspects, and then you get yourself a mark. So that's very, very important. Okay? Right? An assessment, and out there, our friends all over the country, with the help of the facilitator, I will also be helping my class. This is what you are going to do for me. In the following contact session, submit a list of the following nouns. 10 at least in each. 10 nouns in each of the following. 1, masculine nouns, feminine nouns, and the third declension nouns. 10 of each. I want 10 nouns, the masculine nouns. You have thousands and thousands of them. But this exercise is aimed at challenging you to say, I know what a masculine noun looks, and these are they. Okay? And so forth. Or the masculine nouns and the third nouns of the third declension. There is an exercise which I want to do quickly with you. Do you want to keep your connotation? Keep. Fine. Let's go back to just a place where we can get. No. I have spoken about the inflectional changes. Ignore this. Say you have the word theos, and then I will give you another word, theon, and then theou, and then theoi. What is the meaning of this word? Theos? God. It's still the same noun, but then the changes, the inflectional changes are there. And then you have theoi, you have theon, you have what is the dative plural? It's jet lags, don't worry. I will recover. Now, we're talking about the same word. There, when you look at the os ending, your theos is playing its function in the sentence as a subject. Okay? When you look at the theon ending, there you have God. I have given an example. Theos, Theos, Agouei, Adelphon, that example I have just given you. Look at that form there. Look at that ending, Theos. God hears a brother. Here, God is playing its role as, the noun God is playing its role as a subject because it has that os ending. What do you think the on ending would be? So here we have the nominative, and then the accusative, and then the genitive, and the dative. We're still talking about God, but then the function in the sentence there as a subject, theon as a direct object, as a genitive, and as a dative. And these are singular forms. Singular, and there we have plural forms. There we're talking about gods. You will get this kind of forms, most especially in the Bible when we refer to the gods of other nations, gods, theoi. But in terms of the God of Israel, he is one. He is always theos, okay? And then you will also theus, accusative plural, and then you will also have of gods, of God here. Remember that of when it comes to genitive, and then there it will be of, then you have gods. It's actually plural. Two gods, or four gods. The dative. You have that ois ending. Look at the stem of this verb, the the. It's always there. Then the changes are happening from there. Can you see that? And then also in that you have the changes are happening. These are what I refer to as inflectional changes or the inflectional forms. So you must note those changes. They mean a lot. Are you there? You look confused.
Some of the things you're writing, they don't look familiar.
They?
The alphabet don't look familiar. Can't recognize what that is. Like on the first one of the plural form.
The first one on the
Plural form.
on the plural form.
What's that?
The omicron and the iota. The I, yeah. Okay. If that is the problem also out there, my handwriting, Greek handwriting, that is the os, the sigma at the end, it opens theos, on, oi, theoi, and then us, on, and then the ois. Okay? So that is what we call inflectional changes. And these changes means a lot. So you cannot make a mistake. We still have 5 minutes or so. Not this watch is a bit behind. Let's look at the word or that sentence. Adelphos. I will still use the word akue, and then you have adelphan, meaning a sister. A brother, let's have him as a definite. The brother hears or listened or hears the sister. And I underline that and say, pass it for me. Then you are going to tell me this is a noun, and case number and gender, it's nominative, and it's masculine, and it's singular. Okay? Of which word? Of adelphos. This is how it looks in the dictionary. Of adelphos, what is the meaning? Meaning a brother. And then explain it to me, those 7 steps. Then you will tell me it is a subject of the sentence because it's nominative. Let's pass and analyze adelphan. You will tell me it's a noun, case number and gender. You will tell me it is accusative. You look at that on ending. This is masculine, but that is feminine, that an ending. You don't have to go into memorizing this. I will introduce you to Libronics and all that. They will help you to do that. But I'm just showing you how to pass. So you will be a noun. It will be a noun. Case number and gender, it's accusative and feminine and it's singular. Of adel, fair, meaning a sister. And explain it to me. It's not a subject. This one is a subject, but that is a direct object. And that's how you analyze it. Okay. So I'm giving you this minute or so before we finish to ask if this, to bring a question to me. Also, our brothers and sisters out there, if you have any question, this is now the time. All I wanted to do today is to introduce you to Greek nouns. And okay, the hand is raised. I guess it's White River. Open your mic and speak to me.
Hello and welcome back, brother.
Thank you so much, and I'm glad to be back.
Wonderful.
Yes.
I can't wait for you to be back in the correct time zone. According to our schedule, in week 5, we're supposed to be completing another test this week. Will that take place, or will that not take place?
That will definitely take place. I will compile the test, and then is that Grant I'm talking